What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Ultimate Madden Podcast. It is the unofficial Madden Ultimate League podcast. ZFarls, your host, going to break down some predictions, some gameplay tips, some lineup tips, some recap notes. We're going to do lots of different things on this podcast, which will be weekly. We're going to have special guests. This is currently live right now on Twitch. The plan for tonight's about to go 35 minutes, 40 minutes, but just to kind of set the stage for the upcoming Ultimate League. And we're also going to take your questions in the chat while we stream live. So if you have one, put it in and I'll get to it at a certain segment tonight. So let's talk about the Madden Ultimate League. Let's talk about what it is. Let's talk about the club championship. This is the Ultimate Madden Podcast, the unofficial source of information here for all things competitive gaming. And that is what we are going to break down here tonight. Okay, so first things first, let's talk about the club championship because we didn't really talk about it yet. So the club championship was an event where all 32 NFL teams had player representatives. You could sign up for a certain club and then you played down to 4 people. Then you potentially became the one person to represent your squad. So this is how it ended up. GOS Madden and Problem in the finals. And GOS Madden had a really, really good game. I know a lot of people saw him play in the Redskins Club Championship, and they loved the way his game looked. A lot of people hit me up and were just like, yo, what do you think about GOS, his bunch? He's looking the best. Skimbo obviously looked really good in the Patriots. He won one of the early club championships, but Problem just played him in a tough Problem-style game and ended up getting the one turnover, I believe, that he needed to secure that victory. Deliverance, Michael Pinter, this is a guy that hit me up every day on Twitter every time he beat a great player. Just said, I am coming for you. And I'm like, who is this guy? Who is this guy? He just beat Boogs. He just beat this guy. He beat that guy. And all of a sudden, he beat Spot Me Please. He did end up losing the Problem, but he made a really good run and a really good name for himself. So here's all the players that qualified for Ultimate League. We'll break that down. But Mustafa Jones, very impressive for Atlanta. I believe he beat Stevie J and Drag. Michael Pinter, fantastic. You had Adam Rank in the building. This was out at the Super Bowl. Problem, it's not a Madden tournament if Problem is not in it. And then you had GOS Madden with quite the run to get to that championship. Ultimately, GOS raising that title belt and becoming one of the few guys with a championship. Look, if you're GOS Madden, I got to give you just a huge shout out. You appeared in Twitch chats 2 years ago. Year and a half ago, I mean, not that long ago. You just appeared in the Twitch chat. You were so excited, like a master gamer. You were just typing crazy stuff. And people said, oh, that GOS. He's crazy. He's funny. He's silly. He's not good. Blah, 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 blah. Flash cut, title belt. So that's what the club championship to me brought out. And that's what I would close, this event with, is just the club championship gave a lot of people a lot of opportunity. And a lot of people took advantage of that opportunity. Just seeing the 84 guys that made it to Orlando to compete. Smiles on the faces to get to meet all the other players. And for players to interact, it was a really cool moment when you get a bunch of Madden players together. Because they all kind of realize, like, wow, we're not that different. We're pretty similar. We have the same grind. A lot of us have the same feedback. A lot of us have the same goals. And so for people to get to meet and kind of go through those goals, I feel it's a positive thing. Because in the future, it's like I'm not missing another live event because you see how fun it is to come out to these live events. So that's the club championship, which led into the Ultimate League. Now, Ultimate League is 16 players. 6 of them are finalists in the majors, and then 10 of them are the next highest points earners. So these are how they shake out. So in Division A, on the Elite side, there's 2 divisions, Elite and Legend. You have GOS Madden, Joel CP, and they played, and we'll talk about it, Prodigy and Blocky. Now, Prodigy you remember from the second event, the CW event, and then you remember Blocky from the Dolphins. He kind of snuck in without making a crazy run. He did a good job at the club championship, but he didn't necessarily make a run like we saw Tweez make in the first event. Elite Division B is Skimbo and Kiv, and they played. And they'll actually be playing coming up on Disney XD tonight. Then you have Stevie J and Spot Me Please. Stevie J made 2 runs, and Spot Me Please made 1 run in the club championship. And a lot of these guys have points from different things, and I'm not certain. Don't Care About Ice, you might remember him from the Jets event. And that's another guy, Don't Care About Ice. He made the most of his stage. You got to play Skimbo. You got to win the Jets event. He's a young kid. He put his name on the map. You know, definitely got like an edge to him. And these are the things that we need in the community. And he'll obviously reevaluate his game. He'll watch his episode and see, you know, ultimately when he took his shots at the champ. But it was legit. So that's Division B. And now you have Legend Division. Division A is Dreeny, who won a belt. Joke, who made a good run in the championship and made it to the finals of the first event, and has been probably one of the most consistent guys over the whole years of this championship series. Tweez, who made an amazing run in the Classic. Got to see where his game is at. Haven't seen him play in a bit. Dot City Chaos. Chaos. You may remember him from the internet. And then in Division B, you've got Dubby, Problem, Mustafa Jones, and True Boy. Mustafa Jones, I know he's been around. I know he plays with Joke, I believe. Made some amazing plays and made some really good decisions during the club championship that got him in this position to be in the Ultimate League. True Boy, he's back. He made the first event. He made the club championship, but ultimately didn't have some of the finishes he would have wanted, but he did really well last year. Is obviously a good player. And then you have W against Problem. Saw them play, and we can talk about that. So W and Problem, two like old school. They're 30, but they're two older school gamers, and they played as well. So the Ultimate League had their opening night. It was Dreeny against Joke, and Joke ended up getting the W in that one. Dreeny didn't wear his bandana, I don't think, at the club championship. Took an L. He bounced back with the bandana, which brought him luck in his first belt, but ultimately could not get it done. And we'll talk strategy. If I watched, I watched all these games out at the bowl. There's a ton of games. There was a ton of crowd and chatter. So I didn't get quite some of the intricacies that I normally get when I really sit down and watch a game. But if I do have any insights, I'll talk about that. I know Joel switched playbooks. I don't know if he switched playbooks, but I think he was running Run and Gun. And like I said, you have to go over to Madden Insiders. It's an account run by this guy Holden Petre, I believe is his Twitter or his name. But the Madden Insiders accounts will tell you what plays they run against what and how successful they are. And Joel's a great case of this. I mean, he made a really good run in the second event. Cap God. Joel's Cap God just chirps. Really good. He ran Run and Shoot. Go check out his full playlist over on that Madden Insiders page. That's a guest I want to absolutely have on. I want to have guests on the podcast for sure. I'd like to have You Don't Know About Ice on the podcast. I'd like to have Scott Coleman. I'd like to have everybody on the podcast at a future point. Maybe not this first episode, but Joel was just yelling. You can go watch this actual clip. But he played amazing. And GOS had just won the belt. This is the next day. And, I don't know if it's a letdown game. GOS threw a lot of picks deep. My analysis, my opinion, which might not be worth anything. Take it. It's free. When I'm playing really good Madden and I have deep bomb plays and I win a couple games, I'm always like, well, I'm just going to chuck it deep this next game. No one can stop me at this moment. And then you get picked or it's not quite working. And so he threw a lot of interceptions. He had a lot of success with it. And he even still threw some deep touchdowns against Joel. But that's what I find happening to myself is when you over-rely on those big, deep plays once they're working for you. And then if they don't work, then you got to kind of like okay, let's throw some short routes too. The Kiev Skimbo match was a great one. That's the one coming up on Disney XD. And then W against Problem. Problem got the victory. And we're going to talk about some salary cap on this show because this mode is salary cap. And we want to break down maybe an offensive hero each week and a defensive hero because people are going to build their salary cap teams. I think it's important to keep an eye on good budget players or just good beast players. We saw a lot of Mariota, a lot of Wentz. And we'll talk about Problems running back and what he did. W obviously went with Derrick Henry, and a lot of players did go with Derrick Henry, and a lot of people had a lot of success. So that is where the Ultimate League shaped out to be. This is the player list. And so it's 10 games in the Ultimate League with, I believe they play each guy in their division twice. And then one guy from the next one. So you asked me to pick winners. Obviously, I know that some of these players are 1-0 and some of them are 0-0. but I only know what we watched on Twitch. I would say Joel looks tough. Prodigy looked really good at the event. And Blocky played Skimbo, I believe. Let me put, because he's already got one win over him, Joel as my favorite in A. GOS as my second. Prodigy was super nice. I didn't get to talk much with Blocky. He seems really nice too. But let me put Prodigy third, Blocky fourth. In Division B, Kiev. In Skimbo, let me go with Skimbo 1 because I just think he's too much of a buzzsaw. Stevie J, I like his game, but I think over the course of a season, you might be able to catch on to a little bit of what he's doing. Spot Me looked good. Let me put Kiv 2, Spot Me 3, Stevie J 4. Stevie J's my guy. It's going to hurt me. I hope he doesn't listen to this. He's 4. In Division A, let me put Joke 1, Tweez 3, Chaos 4, Dreeny 2. In Dreeny, he won the belt. I want to keep seeing him do well. I know he's motivated to do well. I know he can do well. I want to see him keep it up. I know he was the Broncos rep in the club championship and didn't quite get there. But he's back. He'll be focused for Ultimate League. We just finished talking about GOS Madden. GOS Madden in the chat. I just selected GOS Madden as the winner of Division A. Or no, I didn't. I picked him second. My bad, GOS. But I talked about your belt, your victory, your transformation. Shout out to you. And then in Division B, True Boy, always one of my favorites, on the sticks. Can he make his return in a salary cap mode over the course of a season? Musafa came out of nowhere. He's crushing it. But you gotta always think problem 1. Because anytime he's there, you gotta pick him. Let me get True Boy 2, Musafa 3, W 4. And like I said, I hope W doesn't watch this. It kills me to pick him 4. I think he's a great player. He is such a good supporter of competitive Madden. He's a great ambassador. He did great interviews during the club championship. He supported Skimbo. He was at every event. He was talking to kids that were walking through the venue and playing. And he's great to have. I'm really glad he's in Ultimate League. He made the first 2 events. He beat Skimbo in the first event. Great player. But I had to pick him 4th. I mean, because I don't know. I just had to. That's what came to me. So he'll play True Boy twice. Good note by Don't Care About Ice in the chat. He'll play True Boy twice. They had some fireworks. They had a non-handshake game earlier in the season. So Ultimate League's looking crazy. And some cool things about Ultimate League. So this is what I like so much about Twitter and stuff like that. You can see one of the tweets I saw from Joke was basically that they're allowed to select some extra players in their lineup, so they can change their playbook. So this is a big note because if you play Problem, he likes to run the ball so much, you can sub in new defensive linemen potentially and get some pass rushers, or get rid of your pass rushers and get more beef on the field, or whatever you want that you think is going to help stop his run game. Spoiler, I don't think you can stop it, but you can only hope to contain it. But that will be something that people will try and do with this. So we're going to see a lot of new salary cap changes, or just kind of adjustments and tweaks, and you'll see how people want to play, which is good. Now we got GOS Madden in the chat. If GOS Madden cares to make a prediction, he currently lost to Joel, but he does have a belt. So I will allow GOS Madden, if he would like, to make a prediction about his performance in the upcoming Ultimate League. Does he think he's going to go 9-1? GOS, you think you're going to... He just said be right back, but I wonder if GOS thinks he's going to go 9-1. Maybe he'll say I'm going to go 7-3. Maybe he's going to say there's no way I will lose to Blocky. There's no way I'll lose to Prodigy. Or maybe he'll just say, I think I'm going to go 4-6 and just take my belt and the money and go. One other cool note about Ultimate League is you get $1,000 per victory. So you have the chance to make a good amount of change on this one, which is pretty nice. Also, the overall prize pool, I believe, is $500,000. So remember, this is the Ultimate Madden podcast. unofficial till we say. These are my opinions, and they're not very good. GOS Madden 7-3 to 8-2, around there. Worst case, he goes 6-4. So GOS Madden saying worst case 6-4, probably gonna go 7-3, 8-2, and he says back to back. Because I'm with GOS. It only matters if you win one game. One game is all that matters. But so some things you can look forward to is February 10th, week 2, and then week 3 will be the 17th, so forth. So there'll be a schedule here, so you can always kind of go and check it out. As far as competitors goes, we went through, our thoughts on some of the competitors. But if you wanted to read more, obviously you got a guy like Skimbo, who's a beast. Joke. I don't think we give Joke enough credit. One thing I really like when I'm at events, something behind the scenes that maybe I can bring to you guys is like other Madden players' respect for Joke is at an extremely high level. He's like really revered by the best players as a great player. And that's something that you always remember in the back of your head. Like, oh, the best players know this guy's really good and they want to lab with him and he's kind of their leader. And it's like you love this guy or you don't love this guy, depending on if you play with him or if you don't play with him. So that's always a cool note that I find interesting about Joke. Plus, he's with Echo Fox, which is a gaming crew, which is always good for us to pick it up. Question of the day, because T-Mac's talking about it in the chat. Remember, this is streamed live, but then it's put on YouTube. Will anybody in Ultimate League go undefeated? Skimbo's already missing one, so will Joel go undefeated? I'm going to say no. I'm going to say the best anybody goes is 9-1. I know in the Buffalo Wild Wings League last year on Mudhead, people did go undefeated, I think. I think they lost in the finals, but their regular season was undefeated. I also didn't really think anybody was going to do a weekend league undefeated, but a bunch of people did weekend league runs undefeated, so it turned out a little easier. Obviously, so GOS is saying no way anybody goes 9-1. You just think because competition's too high, parity's too close, game's too close, too much tape on players at this point, too much ability to adjust your lineups, and you're just gonna have an off day. So GOS is saying no way anybody goes 9-1. All right, so put your, if you guys want to guesstimate in for this podcast, I'll read some of your predictions next time. If you guys want to add if you guys want to put your division winners below in the comments, and you want to put your predictions of the highest winner, 8-2 maybe, sounds like what people are thinking. But let me know what you think about that. So that's the Ultimate League there. A bunch of news and more information about the past events. But one other thing I wanted to point out was over on Mudhead. I was over there today. So I would say go check that out because they're looking to find the best players in MUT. And you can sign up and potentially be one of them. Zan had actually just tweeted out about some leagues that are available. So if you go to Zan's page, Forward Progress Madden, you can sign up and try and get into a different league that's going on. I know VTech and Pinter played a game last night to try and get in. I know some different players are all trying to get in and stream. So your season's not quite over yet if you want to get involved in that. This Lattimore, we'll look at a couple quick MUT things, and then I'll give you my players of the week from that. But this is generally going to just stick with competitive gaming content here. And then we'll see if any of these guys could be useful for salary cap. So Todd Gurley, only 88 truck. So that doesn't seem to be the meta. That's one other thing we'll talk about is the meta. Because that's one thing that changed as well. GOS Madden. What's up? You've heard it here first. In the chat. Right now. GOS Madden. Reporting that Joel, who's 1-0, by beating GOS, the champion of Club Championship, says both players in his division, Locky, lost to Skimbo, but looks good, and Prodigy are better than Joel. He said no hater bias, which I respect. So according to GOS Madden, this guy currently sits at 0-1 in the Elite Division because he lost to Joel, the Cap God. These two players are better than Joel. GOS lost to Joel, but has a belt. GOS reports Prodigy and Blocky are better than Joel. No disrespect. Presented without comment. By the way, we do not have any sponsors on this show. But if there was a certain invisible soda brand that didn't sponsor us, I would still drink it on the broadcast anyway. Heavy words coming in from the champ. Hey, he's the champ, so I'm going to read anything he types in the chat. GOS Madden. Look at this picture. Where is it? We lost it. But GOS Madden, you are the champ. No one's better at typing crazy stuff in the chat than you. So, I will read it. I mean, look at this guy. Champ, right there. This is what this guy says. I didn't say anything. That's GOS, right there. Club champion. And a man with a belt is a dangerous man. Because he never has to do anything else. If he doesn't want to. You know? So, those are some thoughts on Ultimate League as we dig in. So it is salary cap, guys. So I want to talk salary cap real fast. I believe Problem had Leonard Fournette as his halfback. I'm assuming this is the version he had because it would appear to me it was a version with 93 truck or higher. I would say gameplay-wise, the most important thing I saw was trucking backs kind of being the meta. I would jump into practice mode here, but I'm sure if you watched, you saw the clips. Leonard Fournette was crushing people with the truck move. Derrick Henry was the meta. I don't think I saw LeGarrette in there. This Derrick Henry has 92 truck with 89 speed for 44 cap. This Fournette's 52. And there was Herschel Walker was in the club championship kind of randomly. Not sure which Herschel it was, but you got a 55 cap Herschel with 92 speed, 90 truck. So obviously you get better trucks the higher you go. 90 is a good tier for truck moves. So dudes, these people, Herschel was one of those guys. And that's kind of my offensive player of the week for week 1 of Ultimate League was trucking halfbacks. Because it really was all about spin backs earlier in the year. If you play online, you run into a lot of spin backs, speed backs, all that stuff. Next week, I'll give you my quarterback pick that we liked. You could imagine, everybody had them. But we'll talk about that. Defensively, one guy I would say that surprised me was Mel Renfro. Now, my question is, what Mel Renfro did people have? Is there a cheaper 45 cap Renfro with 92 speed, 92 zone? It couldn't have been the full Renfro. And they put him at safety instead of corner, if I recall. Like I said, don't want to give bad info here. This is the unofficial pod. My guess would be it might be this Renfro at free safety. 45 cap, 92 overall with 92 speed, 92 zone. I got to dig into that a little bit more, but for the most part, 91 zone dudes were there. And it was a little bit of a lot of Night Train Lane available. He had a really good punt return in one of the games, did Night Train. Couple picks that I saw. So these old school legends, that's who we'll give our defensive salary cap nominee of the week to. Mel Renfro. There was another guy Problem had on defense as a user. He can be our player of the week next week because the play he made with him was just flat out nasty. So that's what we'll talk about. There was a Barry Sanders. That was Ultimate League Barry Sanders given away. Some on social, some on Twitch drops. That was something that was going on, so that was exciting. But pretty much, guys, that was what the podcast will be. We'll go over the weeks of Ultimate League as they happen. We will cover things in gameplay. Maybe we'll do some salary cap builds. Maybe we'll do some, if we see a scheme we like or a couple plays we want to show you. We don't like to give away exactly what the competitors are doing, but, if Joel's going to run and shoot, we'll show you what the playbook looks like, some things that you might do, things you might try. We've shown it before he ran it, so, not exactly what they're doing or not exactly how you would stop it, but just kind of general ideas to help you have more fun with it. So those are some ideas. And then the third thing we'll have is interviews. So it's great to get some players in the chat tonight. Chirp it up. Goes in there. They gave their predictions. I'll read your guys' predictions from the comments. And then also we'll have people call in. So Madden Insiders, we'll have Zan call in. We'll have potentially players call in. We'll have anybody you think we should interview that would be a good knowledge guy for the Ultimate Madden podcast. We'll get them going. So overall, let me take a couple questions in the chat. If you have a question from the chat, let me know right now. I got about 5 minutes for questions, and this will be how we'll end the first episode here. But we'll, like I said, expect more coming up in future episodes. Shout out to Del Rey, shout out to D Stu for some of the hype. Big time hype. We'll get those trains in big time. Let's see if there's any other cap guys that we would miss. If I got any good Super Bowl guys. All right. So, first question I've got, and I'm going to ask it for myself, is number one, what was the hardest major to win this season? So that's going to be the first question that I'm going to ask. So, the first major of the year was tough because it was regular teams. It was early in the season. The meta wasn't truly set. You did have 91 zone guys, and people did generally know the Seahawks. But you had a guy like Tweez show up and just be able to kind of run the ball and do some different things. So that was good. So that one, to me, it wasn't the toughest, but it was definitely had its own challenges. The second event, the challenge, had draft champions. So that's its own thing, because if you don't quite get the draft you wanted, but the drafts ended up being pretty equal. There wasn't really a true thing here or there. So I wouldn't say the challenge was the hardest, although it certainly wasn't easy. But the third event, the club championship, definitely to me the toughest because you had to win your club, which wasn't easy. If you went to a club, some of these clubs like Carolina were devastating, challenging. Guys like Manu, guys like Stiff, all in the same club. So you had to just win your club. And then you had to get out of there and play in a single elimination. To me, when you play single elimination, I know that's the mode or the style people hate playing the most. That's why they grind for the ladders. That's why they, those first early weekends online are super stressful. So this tournament to me, the club championship was the hardest because you had to make it all the way through single elimination. There was no group stage. Drini went 1-2 at the group stage of the challenge, and then he got hot, got on fire, but he only had to get on fire for 3 games. For this thing, you had to stay on fire for like 7, maybe 6 games. I don't know, a bunch of games, too many games to be on fire. And everybody was in on this one. There was not a name that didn't try and qualify for this. So the club championship, to me, definitely the toughest major to get the victory in. And that's my opinion on the toughest major of the season. All right, that's the question of the week. Leave more questions, comments, or in the chat. Break those down in the future. That is it for the first episode of the Ultimate Madden Podcast with ZFarls. It is your unofficial source of all things competitive gaming and Ultimate League. We'll be back next time with more gameplay, more interviews, more predictions, more recaps, more highlights, more competitor chatter, and that is what we will do. We are heading off right now to watch Disney XD, the matchup between Young Kiev and Skibbo. So I'm going to go share that out, and then I will actually come back and play a game of Madden.